Well, I mean, we've kind of, or at least I've been thinking about for a long time, what would the efficacy be of, I mean, obviously this is so hypothetical and so out there, but what would the efficacy be of getting a group of people together, seceding from the United States through legal pathways, and trying to create a new society out from under the umbrella of the government that we have now?
So their state would just secede, like they're not, because
You need a state.
There's
for it
no
to be
new
legal.
territory.
Well, you would need multiple states because I think the only way that it'll be internationally recognized is if more than one state join together and secede as one, unless you're Texas, because they wrote, when they joined the Union, they wrote into their like constitutional agreement that they could secede at any time. At any time. But any other state, you would need multiple.
So if it's going to happen, it's Texas.
It could be Texas. I mean, it could be Vermont and New Hampshire. Vermont was an independent sovereign nation at one point, the Republic of Vermont, and people still feel pretty proudly about that. And there's New Hampshire's state logo is live free or die. So
Yeah,
there's a growing group of people there
sure.
that are trying to remove themselves from...
I just think that would invite so much complication because you're going to be an independent nation within a nation. Like, that's not like Canada and us. Like, at least it's kind of like a...
Well, it
There's
would
a
just
line.
it could just be a country between the United
Yeah.
States and Mexico. Just Texas is right there.
Or a
guess.
country between Canada and the United States.
That'd be crazy.
We have DC.
Mm.
I
mean,
guess.
that's not its own nation.
How much do you think it would cost to buy like the most like deserted part of like Canada?
I have no idea.
Probably a lot.
That
But
would no one would want to go there.
It doesn't even, you don't even need to buy it. I mean, if you got enough
You
people.
just take it over.
Well, yeah. But if you got enough people to move to Vermont, New Hampshire, and establish legal voting addresses.
Did they? No. Okay, mine just went out. All right, keep going.
Do you want to put this one on?
No, I think it just stopped recording. I'm gonna.
If you got enough people to move to Vermont and New Hampshire and established like living voting addresses, then you could just have a statewide referendum. And Vermont only has 650,000 people in it.
And you would
so,
still need another state, though.
Yeah, New Hampshire has 1.2 million people.
So what do you think would be the line that needs to be crossed for these people to get on board, or for enough people to get on board?
Well, I think we just need to convince people that the current system is not working for them in the way that they desire. We need to convince people that they deserve autonomy over their own lives, and it shouldn't be what you do in Vermont or New York shouldn't be controlled by people in Texas, and vice versa. I mean, our United States is so eclectic, and it really is a cultural melting pot, and there's so many differences between the people who live in the Northeast and the Southwest and the Northwest and the Southeast. Like,
Or
it's
urban
so
areas to rural
yeah.
areas.
I mean, it's so different. There's crazy religious communities. There's different there's different cultural and ethnic communities. Like,
Are you calling religious people crazy?
no, just like hardcore
Okay.
religious people.
There are.
But I mean, like, if we compared the size of the United States geographically to Europe, it would be ridiculous to force Sweden to go by the same cultural rules that people in Egypt go by. I mean, it'd be crazy, and that's what it's like to force people in Maine to adhere to what people in Texas want. It's like it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and that's so evident in all the gridlock that happens with every issue that's ever brought up. And I just think people would be better off forming their own union.
So it sounds like the federal government's the problem for you.
Yeah, well, I look, there are two options here, the way I see it. We have to localize government. I think the United States needs to break up into at least 5 different countries, Northeast being one, Southeast, Southwest, Northwest. And then maybe something in the middle. Who cares? What? Nothing even happens there. But
Whoa.
it's like,
I agree.
It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's so big. There's so many people here. It doesn't work unless you have a totalitarian regime like in China. I mean, they can just control people at gunpoint and it doesn't matter. But here, people are supposed to have freedom and they're supposed to be able to choose how their lives go.
Right.
And having something so big like we have now,
Yeah, I
doesn't
agree.
make
It's
sense.
too big. It's too big.
So localization would be great, right? But the only way that occurs is through legislative initiative.
Mm-hmm.
But we
do
can't
you
get anything
think-
passed.
Yeah, I mean,
because-
do you think any of our representatives are going to vote for dissolving the union?
No, they're getting paid by everyone in it.
Exactly. They're too privy to big business, to special interests, to things that aren't the American people. So I think the best option is to get a movement started, get them to go to a certain place, have a secession referendum, and then figure it out from there.
Would there still be a president?
I have no idea. I look, if I were to make this happen, I don't want to present answers for what to do afterwards. I just want people to know that they have another option, another choice, and that they can hopefully rely on their neighbor, the kindness of their neighbor and the morality of everybody around them to make the right choices about where society goes.
Right.
After you end up seceding from the United States, of course.
But don't states already kind of have like representation? Like this whole thing with the COVID like passport thing, DeSantis is like, we're not going to have that in Florida.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
but
then
there
until
are federal
all their-
mandates.
Yeah,
though.
exactly. Until all their federal money starts coming in because they refuse
Well, I don't
to
think
do
the
this.
federal government will. So
Yeah,
No, but they
Florida
can.
receives hundreds of millions, if not billions, of dollars in federal
Yeah.
money.
Funding.
They will cut all that off if Florida stops doing something.
Well, it's not.
or-
It's that, and even if the Supreme Court can make a decision that becomes federal law. Like Roe v. Wade is federally active, so there are restrictions on abortion or open abortion in states where people don't want that. And I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing, but the multiple representatives that New York has due to population and due to cultural thinking shouldn't determine people in Alabama saying, hey, we don't want abortions to be a thing.
Sure.
Just as like,
well, would that come into taxpayer money at that point, or just
well,
based on
that's what it all
morals?
comes down to.
Is it the will
'Cause
of the taxpayer?
These people need to understand that their money is not being used in the
I
ways it
agree.
should be.
exactly.
agree.
Or could be.
It should be used in the ways. So, okay, I don't want to provide answers for what happens after the secession, but the way that I would do things is just referendums for every major issue. As soon as you secede, you have this population of people in a given area, you literally put every issue to a nationwide vote.
And do you
Should
need,
we
do you
have
need
a
ID to
president?
vote?
Should we have IDs to vote?
Who gets to vote on that?
Whoever is part of the republic.
See?
Listen, man, I don't know.
I
Of
know, I
course,
know.
it's like huge.
It's
A huge topic.
Have you ever
But
seen that episode of Family Guy where they're like, let's take down the government, and then Peter finally takes down the government, and then they get to it, and then they're like, you know what, Peter, you should lead us, and then it's like the same thing all over again once they get out of it.
well, yeah. I mean, look, it could go wrong, but I would just rely on people being smart enough, hopefully, to vote for things that are correct. I like they tried this in New Hampshire one time. A town was like, yo, we're not going to pay taxes anymore. We're going to be a libertarian republic, just this single town. They were like, no laws. We're just going to do whatever we want. And it worked well for a little while until some of the citizens of this republic started to feed the black bears from their backyards. They would just feed them.
God.
And then the black bears would kill family pets and root up gardens and stuff. And so the other people in this libertarian republic were like, hey, you guys can't be feeding the black bears. And then the people who were feeding the black bears were like, yo,
Fuck you, bro.
Fuck you. This is Libertarianville. So it got it fell apart, but
You need